Man, there's no cheer squad out here, man. No crowd screaming your name, no medals, no camera crew waiting to hand you a ribbon. That's what makes this thing powerful. When the only man cheering is you, you're alone, talking to yourself, dissecting your own mind while the world's quiet. It ain't something you can do a pep talk. It's you on a dark track, a 1-mile battlefield that stretches forever. There's no music, no comfort, no help. Just you and those demons crawling up from the basement of your life. Childhood bullshit, insecurities, being called stupid, being broke, being fucking invisible. It all surfaces. That's when the truth gets real. That's when your own voice turns against you and says, why the fuck are you doing this? You want to quit, but if you crawl through that hell, on the other side is a world no average human ever reaches. It's there if you're willing to bleed for it. You can't find purpose hiding in comfort. I had to go dark. I mean dark. I had to shut the world up, kill the noise, cut the bullshit chatter. Everyone wants to be around people talking, laughing, escaping. Fuck that. You got to be okay being alone. You got to be okay being unhappy, sitting with the truth that you're fucked up right now. That's the start line. You strip away every illusion, every excuse, every pity story. You look in the mirror and ask, who the fuck am I? That's when the real autopsy begins. You start cutting into the reasons, the pain, the patterns. It can take months, maybe years. You find your purpose in that silence, not in people's validation. And once you got that purpose, then the planning comes. But don't get trapped there either, because planning is safe. Execution, that's the hell where most of you quit. That's where you meet yourself. When I hit that wall, I didn't want comfort. I didn't want painkillers. I didn't want a motherfucker telling me it's going to be okay. I told everyone to shut the fuck up. I wanted to feel every ounce of that agony because I knew it was teaching me something. I climbed a mental mountain that shattered who I was, and I didn't want anyone taking that pain away. That pain showed me what was possible. It burned the victim out of me. And once I tasted that, there was no going back. I realized I'd been underachieving my whole goddamn life. Most people stay stuck in average because they fear the climb. But the climb is the cure. That pain built a new blueprint. It broke me open. And for the first time, I saw who the fuck I could be. And the road to becoming that person is lonely as hell. Don't expect a crowd. Don't expect applause. It's cold, it's silent, and it's full of motherfuckers who hate you for chasing something they never had the balls to face. People will talk shit, twist your story, laugh at your grind. I tell them, if I walked on water, they say it's only because I couldn't swim. That's human nature. Jealous, small-minded, scared of mirrors. So I stopped looking for approval and started using hate as gas. Fear became my compass. If something made me nervous, made my stomach turn, that's where I fucking went. Fear pointed to the next mountain. That's my internal GPS. When you start chasing the fear, the universe starts opening doors that comfort would have kept locked forever. And those scars, they're not decoration. They're proof. Every fucked up thing I've been through is real. Every wound has a story. And I wear that shit with pride because my childhood was my training ground. It was brutal, but it made me dangerous. I didn't give a damn about weight loss or trophies. I wasn't trying to be the fastest or strongest. I could barely read or write when I was 17. And I wasn't chasing medals. I was building calluses on my mind. The workouts weren't about muscles. They were about murdering weakness. I saw pain as a forge. Every early morning run, every rep when I want to quit. That was me forging armor around a broken mind. That's where I found myself, not in comfort. And pain. Pain became the mirror that showed me what I could be when I stopped running from it. People think pain's the enemy. Nah, man. Pain's the motherfucking teacher. Pain doesn't lie to you. Comfort does. Comfort whispers sweet bullshit in your ear, tells you you've done enough, that you deserve rest. Pain tells the truth. It tells you where you're weak, where you quit, where you've been lying to yourself for years. When I hurt, I listen. That's data. That's intel from the battlefield of my own body and mind. People want shortcuts, supplements, secret hacks, all that weak-ass self-help garbage. There's no hack for war. The only hack is staying in the fight long enough to understand that the fight itself is the growth. Pain's not the signal to stop. It's the invitation to evolve. So every time it hits, I remind myself, this is the rent I pay for the life I want. You can't live rent-free in greatness. You got to bleed the dues. You ever notice how people romanticize the grind until they actually have to do it? Everyone loves the quote, loves the shirts, loves no days off. But as soon as life stops handing out applause, they fold. That's why I tell people, stop chasing motivation. Chase discipline. Motivation is like a one-night stand, hot, exciting, and gone by morning. Discipline is that ugly-ass marriage that survives every fight, every storm, every miserable day when you don't feel shit but still show up. That's the difference between amateurs and savages. Amateurs rely on feeling good. Savages rely on doing it regardless. When the alarm goes off and your near knees ache, discipline is what drags your ass out of bed. You either obey your feelings or your mission. You can't serve both. Some mornings I wake up and that voice is still there. The soft one, the liar whispering, take it easy, man. You've earned it. That voice sounds friendly because it knows me. It studied me my whole fucking life. It knows my excuses, my pain points, my history. It knows exactly how to make me fold without even yelling. That's the war zone most people never fight. They're the quiet one. The one inside your skull. In the gym, the road, the weights, the miles, that's all secondary. The real enemy is the whisper that says, you did enough today. That voice is seductive as hell. But every time I tell it to shut the fuck up and do what I said I'd do, I take one more inch of my soul back. We've been raised soft. Society patted every corner. Any participation trophies, safe spaces, instant likes. None of that exists in the real world. Out there, life doesn't give a shit about your feelings. Gravity doesn't care about your comfort zone. Cold water doesn't care about your excuses. You either adapt or you freeze. That's why most people never change. They never stay in the discomfort long enough to earn the new version of themselves. They step in, feel the sting, and run back to warmth. The transformation was one more second away, but they'll never know. I learned that every second you stay when your mind's begging to leave is a second you steal from weakness. You're robbing the coward inside of breath. Stay long enough and he suffocates. People always ask me, how do you stay so intense? I don't stay intense. I stay honest. I don't romanticize the grind. I remember the motherfucker I used to be. The fat kid hiding behind lies. The guy who quit on everything. I never forget him. He's my fuel. Every run, every pull up, every mile. I can still see him sitting on that couch, head down, scared to try. I trained so that version of me never takes the wheel again. People talk about vision boards. I have memory scars. I replay every humiliation, every failure, every time someone laughed. I let that pain loop until it becomes rocket fuel. That's not negative thinking. That's real. Pain kept me honest when motivation ran out. Failure became my best fucking friend. You can't dodge it. You can't trick it. You can't pray it away. You got to meet it head on and learn its language. When I failed Navy SEAL training twice, that wasn't punishment. That was class in session. Every failure was a lesson carved into bone. I stopped calling them failures. I started calling them reps. Each rep hurt like hell, but each rep made me harder. That's how I learned to fail forward. I started craving the next hit of rejection because I knew I'd come back sharper. That's how you build calluses on the soul. Failure is the only coach that doesn't bullshit you. It tells you exactly where you're weak and dares you to fix it. Most people talk about believing in themselves, but belief without work is just ego. You don't build belief by repeating affirmations in the mirror. You build it by stacking undeniable proof. Every run, every hour, every sacrifice, that's your evidence. When you start stacking enough of it, belief stops being a theory and becomes armor. I don't believe I can do shit. I know I can because I already bled for it. Confidence isn't a feeling. It's receipts. When the storm hits, you don't need hype. And you pull the receipts and keep moving. That's why I don't need cheerleaders or crowds. My proof lives in my scars. When people ask why I still push so hard after all these years, I tell them because comfort is the enemy of evolution. The moment I start thinking I've made it, I take a day trip back to hell. I revisit that tiny apartment, that smell of poverty, that silence when nobody believed in me. I stay there mentally until I can taste that pain again. Then I rise up and work. You can't stay sharp without friction. When you stop scraping your soul against adversity, you rust. So I keep that mental backpack with all my old pain inside. Whenever life feels too easy, I unzip it and dig my hands into the past. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me real. That's the secret no one wants. You have to keep dying and rebirthing yourself. Every goal met is just another grave. You bury the old version and build a new monster on top of the ashes. You can't protect your ego and grow at the same time. You either defend who you were or fight for who you could be. Every day I pick a fight with the old me. Some days I win. Some days I bleed. But I never stop swinging. You got to be willing to live in that constant death and rebirth cycle if you ever want to find out how far you can fucking go. That's what staying hard means. Staying brutally honest with who you are and never letting that comfort win. People ask me why I still chase pain like it owes me money. Because pain's the only thing that never fucking lies. Everything else, friends, family, society, feeds you feel good bullshit. Pain is the one honest motherfucker left. It doesn't sugarcoat, it doesn't flatter, it doesn't care if you're tired or talented. Pain says, show me, that's the transaction. Every rep, every mile, every sleepless night is a contract written in suffering. You pay, it delivers. You dodge it, it collects interest. People spend their whole lives negotiating with pain, trying to bargain comfort for growth. But pain doesn't deal. It demands full payment up front. That's why I run toward it. Because the closer I get, the louder the truth gets. Pain tells me exactly who I am when no one's watching. Discipline isn't sexy. It's grimy, repetitive, boring as fuck. But discipline is what separates warriors from wannabes. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you moving when everything in your body screams stop. Every day I wake up and that weak voice starts whispering. I tell it, shut the fuck up. I don't negotiate with it. That voice is the same one that told me I was too fat, too dumb, too broken. I learned that if you talk to it instead of obeying it, it eventually gets quiet, not gone, just quiet enough for you to move. That's when discipline becomes freedom. You stop being a slave to moods and become the master of motion. There were years when I thought success would silence the chaos. Bullshit. The chaos doesn't leave. You just get stronger at navigating it. Every level of growth comes with new devils. People think climbing the mountain makes life easier. No, motherfucker. It gives you a better view of all the shit you still have to face. You can see farther, that's it. So you better love the climb. I learned that every time I made it, I had to reset, strip the ego, go back to zero. Because comfort breeds decay. Success without hunger turns into arrogance, and arrogance is death disguised as confidence. So I make myself start over again and again until humility becomes muscle memory. The hardest part of growth isn't the grind. It's the loneliness. When you stop settling, you lose people. Friends disappear when you stop validating their excuses. Family gets uncomfortable when you stop being the failure they can point at. It's lonely as hell at the top, not because no one wants to join you, but because very few are willing to burn their own comfort to get there. You learn to walk alone, eat alone, think alone, but solitude becomes your sanctuary. In that silence, the noise dies and what's left is clarity. You realize that peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's mastery of it. You find peace in motion, peace in chaos, peace in doing the shit no one else will touch. I didn't build confidence by hearing compliments. I built it by keeping promises to myself. When I said I'd run 10 miles, I ran 11. When I said I'd quit sugar, I quit. When I said I'd never quit again, I fucking didn't. That's belief built from blood, not talk. Confidence isn't about thinking you can. It's knowing you've already done worse and survived. Every time I honored my word, my reflection changed. The man in the mirror started to look dangerous. Not violent, dangerous because he no longer needed approval. That's what scares people about confidence. It's independence from validation. When you no longer need applause, you become unstoppable. Failure never embarrassed me. It refined me. Most people avoid it like it's radioactive. I chase it like a scientist hunting data. Each failure is a blueprint showing me exactly where I'm weak. When I failed my first pull-up record attempt, people laughed. I studied. When I failed SEAL training twice, people pitied me. I recalibrated. Failure's not humiliation. It's information. The only real failure is quitting before you analyze the wreckage. Every setback is a lab report on your character. If you read it, you learn. If you burn it, you repeat it. That's why I call failure education through agony. You can buy courses, read books, listen to podcasts, but nothing teaches faster than pain with intent. I learned that self-respect is the most underrated form of power. You can't fake it, you can't buy it, and you sure as hell can't demand it from others. Self-respect comes from doing hard shit when no one's clapping. It's forged in empty gyms, dark roads, silent mornings. It's the look you give yourself after you conquer the thing that used to own you. Once you have it, nobody can touch you. People can insult you, doubt you, even hate you, but they can't break you. Because you already walked through fire and made friends with it. That's real armor. Not ego, not bravado, just truth reinforced by consistency. Every morning I remind myself that this day could be my last. Morbid. Maybe. But mortality keeps me grounded. I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of dying without having emptied the tank. Most people live like they got unlimited tomorrows. They coast, procrastinate, wait for perfect conditions that never come. I treat every sunrise like a deadline. I ask myself, if this is it, did you do something that fucking mattered today? If the answer is no, I fix it before I sleep. That urgency keeps me alive. It turns ordinary days into opportunities and excuses into poison. I don't have time for bullshit. None of us do. The difference between me and most people isn't genetics. It's ownership. I own every scar, every screw up, every demon. I don't outsource blame. You can't heal what you keep denying. You can't conquer what you keep justifying. I had to sit in my own shit and admit, yeah, I caused this. That's where power begins. Accountability is ugly. It strips you naked. But once you stop hiding behind stories, you finally see the controls. You realize if I built this mess, I can rebuild it into something greater. That's freedom. That's why I say suffering is not punishment. It's permission. Permission to start over, stronger, cleaner, harder. So when I tell people stay hard, I'm not saying be angry or reckless. I'm saying stay unbreakable in a world designed to soften you. Stay alert. Stay uncomfortable. Stay accountable. Because the second you relax, weakness starts whispering again. It never leaves. It just waits for an opening. Stay hard means never letting that whisper turn into a command. It means remembering who the fuck you are every single day. It's not a slogan. It's survival. The world's full of soft talkers and comfort addicts. Be the one motherfucker who runs toward the storm. That's where strength lives. That's where you meet yourself. Most people don't understand that success isn't a destination. It's a fucking loop. You don't arrive. You restart. Every finish line just resets to a new start line. I learned that the hard way. I thought once I became a SEAL, once I ran ultra marathons, once I broke records, I finally get peace. But peace doesn't come from achievement. Peace comes from knowing you didn't quit when it got ugly. The moment you start thinking you've made it, you've already started dying. Success is a moving target, man. You have to stay in pursuit mode forever. I tell myself every day, you haven't done shit. You're still the same scared kid from that cockroach-infested apartment trying to earn your oxygen. That mindset keeps me grounded. Keeps me fucking dangerous. The minute you believe your own hype, weakness slips back in and starts unpacking its bags. People want growth without friction, discipline without boredom, results without suffering. That's not how this game works. Every ounce of progress demands pain. Not some Instagram pain, not fake hustle quotes. I'm talking real gritty alone in your head, no one's coming pain. Pain that makes you question why the fuck you exist. That's the kind of pain that carves a new version of you out of the ashes of the old one. Pain's not punishment, it's construction. Every scar is a blueprint of rebirth. People spend so much time avoiding pain that they never meet themselves. The truth is, you don't know who the fuck you are until everything falls apart and you're still standing in the rubble. That's when you meet your real reflection. Stripped, bruised, and fucking alive. You want to build strength. Stop trying to avoid failure. Failure is the gym where your soul gets its reps. Everyone loves the word resilience, but they don't understand where it comes from. Resilience is built by repetition, getting your ass kicked over and over until you stop flinching. You don't gain mental toughness by reading quotes. You earn it by walking through the same hell that broke you before and smiling this time. You have to develop that fucked up relationship with pain where it becomes your coach, not your enemy. You learn to say, bring it, not because you enjoy it, but because you respect what it builds. That's how you know you're evolving. When the thing that used to terrify you now trains you. The mirror was my weapon. Every morning I stood there and forced myself to confront the truth. No filters, no self-love bullshit, no sugarcoating. It's me and my reflection, bare and brutal. I called myself everything I was. Fat, lazy, insecure, undisciplined, full of excuses. That's where accountability begins. When you stop lying to yourself. Most people don't want that mirror talk because it strips away their illusions. They want comfort, not truth. But the mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your feelings. It reflects what is. I used to cry in front of that mirror because I hated what I saw. Then one day I stopped crying and started fixing. That's how change starts. One honest reflection at a time. You can't heal what you won't fucking face. There's a difference between motivation and obsession. Motivation fades when it's inconvenient. Obsession keeps burning even when it hurts like hell. Obsession is what drags you out of bed when your legs are screaming. It's what keeps you running when the world says stop. People call obsession unhealthy. That's because they never needed to rebuild themselves from zero. Obsession is how you outwork the voice that says you're done. It's not about ego or competition. It's about declaring war on your own mediocrity. Every day I look at that weak version of myself and say, you're not taking this day from me. That's obsession. Daily warfare with your lesser self. It's the only reason I'm still standing. Without obsession, I'd be just another soft motherfucker with a dream and no drive. Everybody loves to talk about self-care. Here's my version. Self-care is doing the shit that actually builds your mind instead of numbing it. People think self-care is bubble baths, days off, and comfort. That's escape. Real self-care is going to war with your weakness. It's facing that anxiety instead of running to your phone. It's taking the run when your body says no. It's pushing one more rep when you're empty. You want confidence. Earn it in the silence of effort. You want peace. Win it through war. There's no peace for the lazy. There's only sedation. You can't drink, scroll, or Netflix your way into self-respect. You got to bleed for it. You got to earn your fucking comfort with consistency. That's the real therapy. The more I grew, the quieter I became. Because real growth doesn't need to announce itself. When you start doing the work, you stop talking about it. You realize that loud people are usually the most insecure. They scream because they're terrified of being seen as ordinary. But silence is lethal. Silence means you've internalized the grind so deeply you don't need to prove it. You become self-fueled. People mistake your quiet for peace, but it's really control. You're holding chaos in your hands and shaping it into discipline. That's when you start becoming dangerous. Not when you talk, but when your work speaks so loud that no one can ignore it. You don't train the mind by staying comfortable. You train it by dragging it into the cold, into the dark, into the unknown. When I was 300 pounds, I didn't train to lose weight. I trained to rebuild my brain. Every run, every rep, every struggle was about callousing the mind. I wanted to feel resistance. I wanted to be reminded that life doesn't owe me shit. People say, Goggins, you're crazy. No, I'm aware. I know that when life gets easy, your mind starts rotting. That's why I still do hard things even when I don't have to. I'm not chasing fitness. I'm chasing freedom. Freedom from weakness, from fear, from the fake comfort that kills dreams quietly. That's why I stay hard. Because the second I stop, I'm just another soft story in the crowd. You got to understand something. There's no finish line to this. You don't retire from discipline. You don't graduate from pain. You just find new levels to conquer. Every time I think I've reached my limit, I look around and realize there's another summit. That's the beauty and the curse of growth. It never ends. You either keep climbing or you start dying. That's why I keep pushing even when no one's watching. Even when I've already made it. Because the moment I stop evolving, the old me starts breathing again. and I refuse to resurrect that weak motherfucker. You ever notice how the people who call you crazy are always the ones too scared to face their own bullshit? They love to label anyone who breaks the pattern. You're obsessed, you're extreme. You need balance. Fuck balance. Balance is the word people use to excuse mediocrity. When they say balance, what they really mean is stay close to average so we don't feel uncomfortable around you. The truth is, the higher you climb, the lonelier it gets. The more you grow, the more people will try to pull you back down to make themselves feel safe. That's the cost of evolution. Isolation. You stop fitting in, and that's exactly how you know you're on the right track. Because normal people are supposed to understand a warrior. Normal doesn't survive the grind. Normal doesn't bleed for greatness. Normal dies the moment things get hard. The mind's a wild animal, man. If you don't train it, it trains you. Most people live in a cage built by comfort. Every time life hits them, they run back to their safe zone, pet their excuses, and call it self-care. I had to turn my mind into a weapon. I had to make that inner voice fear me more than pain itself. You got to dominate your mind before it dominates you. It's not a one-time thing, it's daily warfare. Every morning you wake up, that weak version of you is waiting at the door. You either choke it out or it takes your day hostage. You don't negotiate with it. You don't soothe it. You starve it. That's how you build power. Through starvation of weakness and feeding the discipline. People love to talk about finding themselves, but you don't find shit in comfort. You find yourself when everything collapses. You find yourself when life rips you open and you're forced to choose between quitting and becoming something new. That's the real transformation. That's a motivational high, not a weekend retreat. Real transformation is a motherfucker. It's nights alone, shaking, crying, doubting everything, and still showing up. I didn't discover my strength by winning. I discovered it by surviving what should have broken me. Pain stripped away all the fake layers until only truth remained. Truth is ugly, raw, and brutal. But once you accept it, no one can use it against you. That's freedom. Not happiness, not comfort. Freedom from fear of being seen exactly as you are. There's a voice inside every one of us that tells us we're not enough. Most people spend their lives trying to drown that voice with distractions. I decided to face it. I wanted to know where the fuck it came from, why it was there, and how to kill it. That's what I mean by doing a live autopsy. You cut yourself open mentally while you're still alive and find the infection. You don't wait till you're dead to figure out why you never lived. You dig into every scar, every failure, every trauma, and you find the lesson. That's the real surgery. That's where the healing happens. You want to fix your life. Stop numbing the pain and start dissecting it. Every ounce of suffering holds a clue. Every scar has a message. Go in there and fucking listen. Hope is bullshit. You can't hope your way out of darkness. Hope's a soft word for people who don't want to take control. I stopped hoping a long time ago. I replaced it with belief. And belief is built, not gifted. You build it by doing the hard shit that no one else wants to do. You build it by proving to yourself that you can survive what used to destroy you. That's belief. When you have belief, you stop begging for miracles and start creating them. I didn't need hope that I could become a Navy SEAL. I needed proof. And that proof came from every mile, every failure, every sleepless night, every fuck this moment I didn't listen to. Hope's what you cling to when you've given up responsibility. And belief is what you earn through suffering. There's no shortcut to greatness. Every ounce of strength, every bit of clarity, every drop of peace comes with a cost. You can't meditate your way around the grind. You can't manifest discipline. You have to earn it through repetition. Discipline's not sexy. It's monotonous, repetitive, boring as fuck. But it's the only path to freedom. You master discipline, you master life. Because everything worth having, respect, peace, purpose, sits on the other side of repetition. You don't get it by doing it once. You get it by doing it long after motivation dies. Most people stop when it gets boring. That's why they never grow. Boredom is where greatness begins. When the excitement's gone and you're still doing the work, that's when you separate yourself from the pack. I don't chase happiness anymore. Happiness is a byproduct, not a mission. You can't chase it directly. You earn it by surviving hard shit. Most people think they're unhappy because life's unfair. No, they're unhappy because they avoid struggle. You can't respect yourself without a fight. You can't be proud of easy. Every time I faced pain head on, I came out with more peace. Pain cleans you. It burns the bullshit off your soul. When you stop fearing pain, you start seeing it for what it really is. A pure fire. Every struggle is fire. Every moment you want to quit is a test. And every test pass gives you another layer of armor. That's real happiness. Not smiling, not pretending, but knowing you earned your fucking peace. You got to decide who you want to be when no one's watching, because that's the real you. Everyone can perform when it's public. Everyone can post a quote, flex online, act tough. But when it's 3 a.m. and you're sore, tired, and broken, who are you then? That's where your character's written. I built mine in silence when nobody gave a shit. That's why I don't need recognition now. You can't cancel a man who stops seeking applause. I don't need validation to breathe. I validate myself every day with my actions. You don't need the world's approval to be great. You just need to show the fuck up when no one else will. And that's the truth, man. It's never been about talent or genetics or luck. It's about decisions. Every single day. Decisions to stay hard when comfort calls your name. Decisions to move when your body says no. Decisions to suffer on purpose because comfort is a slow death. Every day is another war between the weak voice and the warrior. And the warrior doesn't win because he's fearless. He wins because he keeps swinging scared. Fear doesn't disappear. It just becomes your compass. So I keep following it. Because fear always points to the next mountain. And I'm not done climbing yet. Discomfort is the classroom, man. Every time I step into pain, I'm enrolling in another fucking course on myself. Most people spend their lives trying to drop out of that class. They'll take pills, distractions, vacations, anything but the truth. But the truth never graduates. It keeps showing up until you pass the lesson. I've learned that the mind adapts to whatever you feed it. You feed it comfort, it becomes fragile as glass. You feed it pressure, it becomes steel. That's why I chase resistance. That's why I run into the cold, lift when I'm sore, and sit in silence when the world's screaming. Because every time I do, I'm teaching my mind who's in charge. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the syllabus. And every scar is proof I didn't skip class. I used to pray for easy. Now I pray for real. Easy never built shit. Easy gave me obesity, depression, and excuses. Real gave me clarity. When you strip the fluff, all that's left is raw fucking life. And that's where the gold is. Everyone wants to be inspired, but no one wants to bleed. You can't be extraordinary without first being exposed. You want self-worth. Earn it in the trenches. Every time I choose pain over comfort, I'm reminding myself I'm alive. That's why I don't hide from hard days anymore. I hunt them. Because growth lies where comfort dies. And I'd rather die evolving than live numb. Most people wait for motivation like it's a bus that's never coming. They stand there complaining, scrolling, hoping. Meanwhile, discipline's already on the road, moving. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline's cold, efficient, ruthless, but it delivers. The trick is to become your own drill sergeant. You got to police your habits, guard your focus, and enforce your promises. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to drag your ass out of bed at 4 a.m. That's on you. And once you take that power back, life changes. Because now you're the architect, not the victim. You build momentum one brutal morning at a time until the grind becomes autopilot. That's when you start running on a different kind of fuel. I remember when people laughed at me for chasing impossible goals. You're too old, too broken, too slow. Every insult was gas. I learned early that validation's a leash. The moment you need it, you're owned by it. I stopped chasing approval and started chasing improvement. The day you stop giving a fuck about being liked is the day you start being dangerous. Because now your actions belong to you, not the crowd. The critics are loud, but they're always watching from the sidelines. None of them have sweat in the game. So I let them talk while I work. Because when you're too busy building, you don't hear the noise anymore. You just hear progress breathing. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. Sometimes you got to burn the old life down to light the new path. Friends, jobs, habits, cut whatever keeps you soft, people will call you selfish. The only thing worse than losing people is losing yourself trying to please them. I had to walk alone so I could hear my own voice. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's strength training for the soul. You sit in silence long enough, the bullshit fades and the truth starts talking. That's when you realize most of your limits were inherited, not real. Society programs weakness. Solitude reprograms power. That's why I keep disappearing. To sharpen the blade where no one's watching. Failure's still my favorite fucking teacher. Every time I fall, I collect data. I analyze, adjust, and attack again. You can't learn shit from comfort but failure. Failure gives you feedback in blood. That's why I respect it. People treat failure like shame. I treat it like tuition. You pay with effort, you get the lesson. The faster you fail, the faster you evolve. I failed more than I've succeeded, but that's why I'm still standing. Failure's a mirror that doesn't lie. It shows you exactly where you're soft. The question is whether you'll use that reflection to get stronger or make excuses. Most people hide from failure because they can't handle seeing the truth. I chase it because I'm addicted to learning who the fuck I really am. Every night before I sleep, I do an inventory. I replay the daylight game film. Where did I win? Where did I bullshit myself? Where did I quit early? That's accountability. Most people won't look at their own tape because it hurts to see wasted potential. I love it. Pain is feedback, and feedback's how you grow. And the mirror's brutal, but it's fair. When you start holding yourself accountable, nobody can weaponize your flaws against you. You already faced them. You already fixed them or are fixing them. That's freedom. That's self-ownership. The world can throw labels, but you own your name because you built it through truth. The body follows the mind always. People think physical training is about muscles. It's about mental structure. When your mind's disciplined, the body obeys. When your mind's weak, even the strongest body collapses. That's why I train every day. Not for looks, not for likes, but for control. Training is meditation for warriors. Every rep is a reminder that you run the machine, not the other way around. You can't outsource that. No therapist, no guru, no influencer can hand you that power. You earn it in sweat, alone, one brutal rep at a time. And listen, peace isn't some soft, calm state. Real peace is violent as fuck. It's the quiet confidence that comes from surviving your own storms. It's when chaos shows up and you don't flinch because you've seen worse. That's peace. It's forged, not found. People think peace is comfort. Nah. Peace is control under pressure. It's being in hell and smiling because you know you've been here before. That's what staying hard really means. It's not about rage, it's about resilience. It's about knowing you can walk through fire and come out sharper. And you want that kind of peace. Then earn it the only way it exists, with pain, discipline, and total fucking ownership. The mind's the most dangerous battlefield on earth. You think war happens outside, but the real fucking war is in your head. Every excuse, every doubt, every soft thought is an ambush waiting to happen. Most people lose that war before sunrise. They hit snooze, scroll their phone, justify their weakness. And boom, day's gone. I treat every morning like a recon mission. I wake up hunting the enemy within. The goal's not comfort, it's control. I need to know that my mind obeys me, not the other way around. When you realize you're your own worst enemy, you stop blaming the world. You stop waiting for permission. You grab that rifle called discipline and go to work. Most people never meet their potential because they never meet their pain. They flirt with effort, dabble in discomfort, then retreat to safety. But potential doesn't live in safety. And potential lies where you're most terrified to go. Every goal you've ever dreamed of sits behind a wall of suffering. And the only way through is repetition. You don't knock that wall down once. You chip at it daily with your bare fucking hands until it cracks. Every swing hurts. Every swing questions your sanity. But one day that wall starts shaking. That's the moment you meet yourself. That's the day you realize pain was never the enemy. It was the fucking key. I remember when I was broken, man. Fat, depressed, running from my reflection. I kept waiting for someone to save me, but no one's coming. That's the hardest pill to swallow. Nobody owes you shit. You owe you. The world doesn't care about your sad story. It only respects results. And the only way to get those is by earning them in the dark when no one's watching. Every push-up, every mile, every tear shed alone. That's the payment. You pay enough times, you change currency. You stop trading excuses and start buying power. That's the evolution. The weak version dies and the warrior emerges. But you can't fake that death. You got to kill the old you with discipline and bury him deep. Comfort is the slowest poison there is. It tastes sweet but kills silent. It's in the couch, the Netflix, the you've earned a break. Every small comfort stacks until you're soft as hell. I watched it happen to people around me. They used to have drive, used to have fire, then comfort seduced them into mediocrity. I vowed that wouldn't be me. So I built a life that's allergic to comfort. I make sure pain visits daily. I train when it's cold, when I'm sick, when it's raining, when my body says, fuck this. Because that's how you stay sharp. You can't sharpen a blade that never hits the stone. Pain's my stone. Discomfort's my maintenance. Every rep keeps rust from forming on my soul. People say, Goggins, don't you ever relax? The fuck no. Relaxation's for after the mission's complete. And life's mission never ends. You don't get to clock out from becoming better. I rest when I'm dead. Until then, I'm accountable to the standard I set. Every day I'm either building myself or betraying myself. There's no in between. That's why I talk to myself like a drill instructor. I don't let weakness negotiate. I don't let fear vote. They can speak, but I decide. You got to parent your own mind with discipline, not empathy. Because empathy without accountability breeds excuses. And excuses breed regret. Regret's the heaviest weight you'll ever carry. It'll break you faster than any barbell. You know what real toughness is? It's emotional control. Anyone can act hard. Not everyone can stay calm when everything's burning. I used to be emotional as hell. Angry, reactive, insecure. Then I realized emotions are wild horses. If you don't break them, they drag you. So I started training my emotions like I trained my body. When anger came, I didn't fight it. I studied it. When fear came, I invited it in. When pain came, I thanked it for showing up. Eventually, emotions stopped being masters and became messengers. That's power, man. Not screaming, not punching walls. Remaining unshaken when the storm hits. Because that's what strength really looks like. Calm inside chaos. Everyone wants to find their purpose. But purpose isn't hidden. It's built. You build it through work. You build it through consistency. You build it through suffering. Purpose doesn't show up one morning like an Amazon delivery. It's the byproduct of discipline meeting time. You stay in the fire long enough and meaning starts forming out of the ashes. Most people quit before that. They want purpose without process. They want clarity without chaos. It doesn't work that way. You earn meaning by surviving meaninglessness. You earn peace by surviving war. So when people ask, how do I find my purpose? I tell them, stop searching. Start suffering on purpose. That's where it's hiding. Pain taught me patience. That's something soft people never get. They want everything now. Results, success, followers. But mastery takes time. It's not weeks or months. It's fucking years. You can't microwave greatness. You have to slow cook it and grind in failure. I spent decades eating shit while people laughed. They stopped laughing when I became undeniable. That's patience. It's not waiting. It's working quietly, knowing the storm will clear. You don't rush evolution. You just stay in the process long enough to outlast a week. The longer you endure, the smaller the competition gets. Eventually, it's just you. You versus you. That's the final level. And that's the only game worth playing. At the end of the day, I don't chase fame. I don't chase followers. I don't chase money. I chase freedom. Freedom from fear, doubt, weakness, excuses. Freedom from the version of me that almost quit. And that freedom isn't handed out. It's earned one painful rep at a time. Every run, every sleepless night, every time I tell myself one more, I'm buying more freedom. You can't fake that currency. Life's receipts are written in sweat and scars. People think staying hard means staying angry. No, it means staying real, staying aware, staying committed when nobody's watching. That's how you earn peace that can't be taken. That's how you become unstoppable. The mind's always trying to trick you into staying average. It whispers shit like, take a day off, you deserve this, or you've done enough. It's sneaky because it uses logic against you. That's how comfort wins. It doesn't come loud, it comes reasonable. So you've got to be unreasonable in your pursuit. You've got to look that voice dead in the face and say, fuck your comfort, I've got work to do. You don't win this war by being polite. You win by discipline, by routine, by showing up when that voice says not today. Every time you override it, you rewire it. Eventually that voice learns you don't negotiate. You don't fold. That's how you gain control. Not with motivation, but with mental dominance. That's when you become dangerous. People think discipline's punishment. It's not. It's freedom disguised as pain. Freedom from regret, from weakness, from chaos. When I tell people to stay hard, I'm not saying live in misery. I'm saying earn your fucking freedom. Freedom doesn't come from doing what feels good. It comes from doing what needs to be done, even when it sucks. Discipline's not restriction. It's release. When you build that structure inside your mind, the world outside can't control you anymore. People call that obsessive. I call it peace. You can't control life, but you can control your effort. That's where real power lives. You become untouchable when your standards stop bending for circumstance. You ever look at people who've had it easy their whole life? They're fragile as hell. The first time something doesn't go their way, they crumble. That's what happens when you build your identity on comfort. It shatters under pressure. I built mine on failure, pain, rejection, and self-respect. I don't need perfect conditions to perform. I've trained myself to thrive in hell. When life throws me chaos, I smile because I've seen worse. That's the real flex. Not the trophies, not the body, not the money. But being unbreakable in a world full of soft motherfuckers. That's how you earn confidence. Not by pretending, but by surviving. Confidence is forged in the places that terrify you. You can't buy that shit. You bleed for it. You want to know how I built belief. Reps. Reps of suffering. Reps of silence. Reps of doing the hard thing when no one believed in me. Belief isn't something you find. It's something you build brick by brick through action. You can't read your way to confidence. You can't quote your way to strength. You've got to live that shit. Every time I pushed through pain, I built proof. And when the proof stacks up high enough, belief becomes unbreakable. It's not magic, it's receipts. Most people never build that because they quit when it hurts. They say, I'll try again tomorrow, not realizing tomorrow's the same battlefield with different excuses. You don't find belief in your head. You find it in the grind. Every time you go again, that belief gets louder until it drowns out doubt completely. I used to think peace meant the absence of struggle. Now I know it means mastery of it. Life doesn't get easier. You just get harder to break. When you accept that, you stop wasting energy wishing things were different. You start using pain as fuel. Every bad day becomes an opportunity to sharpen yourself. That's what peace really is. Clarity in chaos. It's not sitting cross-legged humming affirmations. It's walking through hell with a calm mind and steady breath because you trained for it. I find peace in discipline, not in comfort. I find peace in knowing I can suffer without falling apart. That's how you build unshakable confidence. Not by controlling the world, but by mastering your reaction to it. The best way to kill fear is exposure. You can't outthink it, you've got to face it. Every time you hide from fear, it grows stronger. Every time you face it, it shrinks. That's why I hunt fear. If something scares me, I do it. Not because I like the feeling, but because fear is the clearest compass you'll ever have. It points directly at the next level of growth. I learned to stop asking, how can I avoid fear? And start asking, what's it trying to teach me? That shift changed my life. Every monster I face turned into a mentor. Fear is not the enemy, it's the map. The problem is most people don't follow it. They run from it. And the longer you run, the smaller your world gets. You want freedom. Chase the fear, not the comfort. People ask me all the time, how do I stay consistent? Here's the truth. You don't wait for consistency. You create it. You manufacture it through repetition until it becomes instinct. You don't think about brushing your teeth.
Right.
That's what discipline should be. Automatic. The secret is taking choice out of the equation. You can't debate with weakness and expect to win. You decide once and you execute daily. No negotiation, no emotion. I don't feel like running every morning. I don't feel like pushing through pain every day. But I do it anyway because the mission doesn't care about my feelings. Feelings are seasonal. Purpose is permanent. You stop chasing feelings, you start living free. When you've lived in hell long enough, heaven feels weird. That's why I never stay comfortable for too long. Comfort dulls the edge. I go back to scratch on purpose. To remember the hunger, the grind, the dirt. I revisit those mental trenches so I don't forget where I came from. You can't stay sharp living soft. Every time I take that mental day trip back to rock bottom, I come back stronger. It's not self-punishment. It's self-maintenance. Growth is remembering what suffering taught you and refusing to forget. That's how you stay dangerous. Because the world will always try to make you soft again. And the only way to fight back is to stay uncomfortable. Staying hard isn't about hating yourself. It's about loving yourself enough to demand the best version every damn day. Love isn't comfort. It's confrontation. It's telling yourself the truth, even when it hurts. It's refusing to settle for easy because you know you're built for more. That's real self-love. Not coddling, not self-pity, but pushing because you give a fuck about who you can become. Every day is another chance to become someone your old self would be terrified of. That's the goal. To become the version of you that doesn't flinch in the face of hell. That's staying hard. That's living free. That's fucking unstoppable. The biggest lie people tell themselves is that they'll start when they're ready. You'll never fucking be ready. Readiness is a myth built by procrastinators. You don't get ready, you get moving. You build readiness through reps, through failing, adjusting, and trying again. Every excuse disguised as timing is just fear in costume. You can spend your whole life waiting for the perfect moment that'll never come, or you can make the imperfect one count. That's why I don't wait for the right time. I make the time right. I learned the hard way that hesitation is expensive. Every time you pause, the weak version of you gets stronger. And the only cure for that is action. Action kills fear. Movement builds momentum. You don't think your way out of weakness. You work your way out. The second you stop negotiating with your limits, life opens up. The grind never ends because evolution never stops. You don't arrive in this game. You just find new levels to climb. Every time I hit a milestone, I reset my standards. That's how you avoid decay. The mind loves comfort. It'll build a throne out of past victories if you let it. That's why I burn mine down every day. I treat success like milk. If you don't use it fast, it spoils. People who stop pushing after they win are already losing. I keep my hunger by remembering what it took to get here. Pain is my reminder, struggle my fuel. I don't care how many miles I've run or how many records I've broken. If I stop fighting today, I lose tomorrow. Discipline doesn't care about your past. It demands proof every morning. You know what's scarier than failure? Regret. Regret's a silent killer. It doesn't stab you all at once. It bleeds you slowly, drip by drip. You wake up one day realizing you had the chance to become something more, but you traded it for comfort. I've seen that look in people's eyes, the haunted kind that comes from knowing it's too late. I promised myself I'd never wear that look. That's why I push like there's a gun to my head. Every workout, every challenge, every moment of pain is my insurance against regret. Because when it's all over, I want to know I emptied the tank. I don't want to die wondering what I could have been. I want to die knowing I fucking found out. You can't be great without chaos. Chaos is the forge where strength is built. Most people run from it hoping for smooth sailing. But smooth seas never made savage sailors. I stopped wishing for calm and started mastering the storm. Chaos is life's stress test. It checks if you're solid or fake. It exposes your cracks, shows you where you've been lying to yourself. That's why I lean into it. When life gets messy, I remind myself, this is where warriors are made. Everyone looks composed in calm waters. True composure is how you breathe when the waves start crushing your chest. I've been there drowning in failure and pain and doubt. And I learned how to keep breathing. That's mastery. Not control over the world, but control over yourself in the middle of hell. Every generation is getting softer. We've built a world that worships comfort and avoids pain like it's toxic. But pain's not poison, it's medicine. We're addicted to convenience, and that addiction is killing resilience. Kids grow up allergic to struggle. Adults drown in entitlement. Everyone's got opinions, nobody's got results. The problem isn't that life's hard. It's that people forgot how to be hard for life. That's why screens stay hard. Because the second you soften, life will slap you with something you can't handle. Then you'll break because you never built your calluses. We've created a culture of escape artists, people running from the very thing that could save them. But there's no freedom in avoidance. You've got to meet the pain, shake its hand, and make it your fucking teacher. You can't build confidence on theory. You build it through exposure to adversity. Every failure I've had added another brick to my foundation. That's why I'm unshakable now. Because I've fallen so many times, the ground's familiar. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's quiet certainty earned through hell. It's walking into chaos saying, I've been here before. People chase fake confidence through validation, but validation expires fast. The real kind comes from keeping promises no one else can see. It's when you do what you said you'd do after the feeling that made you say it is gone. That's the difference between wanting and becoming. You don't become unbreakable by pretending. You become it by staying in the fight long enough for weakness to starve. The greatest strength I ever found wasn't physical. It was emotional discipline. Emotional people are slaves to circumstance. Something goes wrong, they spiral. Someone says something, they explode. I used to be that guy. Angry, reactive, defensive. Then I realized emotions aren't the enemy. They're signals. They only control you when you don't control them. So I stopped reacting and started responding. I trained calm like a muscle. I built emotional calluses. Now, when chaos hits, I don't flinch. That's what peace really is. Emotional mastery in motion. Not being numb, not being detached. Being in control. Because when you can stay calm in hell, you're already winning. When people ask me how I stay this driven, I tell them it's simple. I remember what it felt like to be nothing. I remember the darkness. I remember the nights I cried, the self-hate, the lies, the fear. I keep that version of me close, not to torture myself, but to stay honest. The day you forget your pain is the day you start rotting. I revisit mine like an old friend. It reminds me where I came from and how far I can still go. Pain is memory and memory is fuel. That's why I don't run from it. I study it. I carry it. Because it keeps me grounded when success tries to make me float away. The truth is the mission never ends. You don't graduate from this shit. You don't arrive. You just keep sharpening the blade. Every day is another rep, another lesson, another chance to grow. The grind doesn't care how old you are, how tired you are, or how much you've done. It's a daily test that asks, are you still willing to earn it? My answer is always yes. Because I'm not competing with the world. I'm competing with who I was yesterday. I'm not running from pain. I'm sprinting toward evolution. That's what staying hard really means. Not macho bullshit. Not fake toughness. It means being brutally honest, relentlessly disciplined, and forever hungry. Because the moment you stop evolving, you start dying. And I refuse to die soft. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. Evolve or repeat. Most people repeat. They relive the same weak-ass day on loop for years and call it a life. The same excuses, same habits, same bullshit, just a different calendar. You can't grow if you keep dragging yesterday's mindset into tomorrow. The moment you open your eyes, you either move closer to the person you're meant to be or back into the arms of the coward you left behind. There's no neutral. You're either building or breaking. That's why I start every morning with a mental check-in. Who the fuck's in control today? Me or the old me? Because the second I stop checking, the old version starts creeping back, whispering lies, trying to reclaim ground I already bled for. The battle never ends. I stop chasing perfection. Perfection is a lie designed to paralyze you. You'll never be perfect, and you don't need to be. You just need to be relentless. People waste their lives chasing flawless, scared to fail, scared to look stupid. But fuck that. Failure is part of the system. It's how you calibrate. You can't improve what you're too scared to test. And you want to grow, embrace ugly, show up messy. Miss shots, trip, stutter, fall. Embarrass yourself. Every bruise is data. Every mistake is a mirror. The only people who never fail are the ones too scared to try. And those motherfuckers rot in regret. I'd rather fail 1,000 times in public than die wondering what would happen if I just went for it. The mind's capable of so much more than we allow it to be. You've got to stretch it till it screams. Pain expands perception. It opens new corridors inside your head that comfort can't reach. When you suffer intentionally, you break the illusion of limitation. You start realizing that everything you thought was impossible is just unpracticed. That's why I keep going beyond what makes sense. I'm not training my body. I'm training my belief system. I'm reprogramming the part of me that still doubts. That's what separates the strong from the average. It's not genetics, it's tolerance for discomfort. Most people crumble when the body screams. I listen because I know the body's just the messenger. The mind's the general. You can teach it to fight long after the troops are tired. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of dying with potential still trapped inside me. That's my nightmare. To meet the man I could have been and realize I never became him. That image fuels me more than any praise, any trophy, any paycheck. Because life's not about how long you live. It's about how deep you go while you're here. Most people exist on the surface, scared to dive. I live in the depths. That's where truth hides. You don't find yourself in comfort. You find yourself in chaos when everything's stripped away and you've got nothing but your will. That's when you meet the real you. And that's who I live for. That version that doesn't quit, doesn't complain, doesn't need validation. That's my reason for waking up every day ready to bleed again. You can't fake discipline. You can talk all you want about grinding, hustling, working, but life will test if you mean it. It always does. It'll put you in pain, starve your motivation, silence your support, and ask, still want this. That's the filter. That's how you separate talkers from doers. And when that test comes, the only proof that matters is your consistency. Not your words, not your posts, not your plans. It's just your daily fucking action. Because action doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your feelings. You either did the work or you didn't. That's why I don't talk much. My results are my resume. And you want peace of mind. Do the work. You want confidence. And do the work. You want to stop feeling lost. Stop running from hard shit and do the fucking work. People think I'm angry. I'm not. I'm focused. Anger's reactive. Focus is intentional. The world mistakes intensity for anger because most people have never seen passion without filters. I don't wake up mad. I wake up hungry. Hungry to see how far I can go before I break again. Because breaking isn't failure. It's feedback. Every time I hit that edge, I expand it. That's growth. That's evolution. People ask when I'll stop, and I tell them, and when the grave stops me. Until then, I've got work to do. That's not obsession. That's purpose. The difference is obsession drains you. Purpose refuels you. I'm not chasing pain. I'm chasing who I become because of it. Pain gave me peace, and peace gave me power. You don't really understand life until you suffer willingly. Suffering strips away all the fake layers, the titles, the ego, the noise, and leaves you raw, real, and ready. That's when you start living. Not existing, not coasting. Living. Pain connects you to the present. It demands presence. When you're in pain, there's no past or future. It's now. That's clarity. That's peace. And when you learn to love that edge, you stop being afraid of anything because you realize there's no monster left. There's you unfiltered and unbreakable. That's freedom. That's what every run, every rep, every dark night gave me. Freedom from fear, from doubt, from the weak version of myself. At the end of it all, none of this is about being special. I'm not special. I'm proof. Proof that discipline can turn a coward into a warrior. Proof that pain can become purpose. Proof that the mind can be trained like muscle. If I can do it, so can you. But you've got to be willing to suffer for it. You can't borrow belief. You have to build it. You can't buy resilience. You have to earn it. The question isn't whether you can, it's whether you will. Will you choose comfort or confrontation? Will you stay soft or stay hard? Every day is another chance to decide, and a war never ends, but neither does the opportunity to rise. Stay hard